I'm going to read our text, and then we're going to talk about simplicity and rest this morning. For those of you who don't know, we're in the middle of a Lent series, so this is week 4. So we're working through spiritual disciplines for 4 weeks. Next week will be our last week, week 5, study and meditation. But this week, we're going to be walking through simplicity and rest. And so in Psalm chapter 23, we're going to be in verses 1 through 4 today. I'm in the CSB version of the Bible. The Lord is my shepherd. I have what I need. Look at someone next to you and say, I have what I need. And now the person next to you needs to hold you accountable. No asking for anything. No Christmas before Christmas. Verse 2, He lets me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He renews my life. He leads me along the right paths for His name's sake. And even when I go through the darkest valley, I fear no danger. For You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So when I was in my late 20s, I kind of got into vocation work outside of the church. Through much of my 20s, I was working inside of a church, but then went to work in the marketplace and had a really nice wake-up call when the owner of the company was in it. You know, that's a mentor to you, of course, and I'm learning the ropes in a lot of ways. And one of the things in this meeting he was talking about was, and maybe you've heard this phrase, we never want to leave money on the table. Anyone ever heard that phrase? Never want to leave money on the table. And so what we were doing was trying to figure out basically how to get people to spend more money while saving on costs for products, right? So if your products are less expensive and you can figure out how to raise your prices, you're taking all that excess money that would be there and you're saying, hey, let me go ahead and put that in the pocket. Don't leave it on the table. And that, as you could imagine, in my 20s, I was coming out of the church world. It was just it just hit me strange, like an interesting phrase. Like, man, so who's leaving that money on the table, first of all? Is it the consumer who's leaving the money on the table and now I have to do my best to get all of their dollars from them so that I can do what with that money? Put it back into the pockets of the company, or does it go back to the people? But it just struck me as an interesting worldview. Never leave money on the table. And in other words, take everything that you can and maximize your gain. And here's a question. What happens to us when we maximize and manage our lives in such a way that we leave nothing on the table? Where we manage and maximize to death all of life so that we can make the most out of it. We get tired. Life gets complicated. It gets a little bit stressful. There's, in the Old Testament, and this was I remember thinking, this was in my head when I was hearing about kind of leaving nothing on the table. In the Old Testament, there was a process, or a word they used was gleaning. So like cleaning, but with a G, gleaning. And so what they did, if you owned a property, let's say you owned a property the size of this facility that we're in, they would say, the law of God was, hey, take all of the crops, harvest them, you worked for them, bring them home, but along the edges of your field, so if you could maybe imagine the outer 5 yards from the wall in all the way around, leave that. And leave it for people who have need. And so the poor among you and the sojourner or the pilgrim passing through, they can be taken care of as a result. So coming out of church world, vocation, that was my framework. And then, imagine walking into like, no, all those edges, you don't leave a thing. Now, the Bible doesn't say to us as Christians today in the New Testament, the New Covenant, after Christ has come, hey, you need to leave all of the edges of your property. But it does over and over again speak about things that would illustrate that to us. And if we are so busy finding the extra 5 yards around every area of our lives, what we find out quickly is we cannot manage our lives like that. Our lives become overwhelming. I mean, think about having one child if you're a parent, and then 2, and some of you are done at 2 because you're like, oh my goodness, how could I get to 3? There is no way I can afford to add anything else to my life. So there's a spiritual discipline of simplicity, and there's a command in the scripture about rest that I think we would do well to lean into this morning. And many of our problems, they are not surfaced because of external circumstances. They are surfaced because of internal unwillingness to not maximize, or maybe just to not rest. Our fallen hearts, listen to this, our fallen hearts, our nature, we try to use God's gifts to us to build our identity and secure our future. And that leads us to pride. If we build the things that God has given us, we build them into our identity, it leads to, man, look at me. Or maybe they lead us into anxiety because we cannot manage those things well. We use them to secure our future, but they're not meant to secure our future, the gifts that God gives us. But instead, we should receive them with gratitude and be willing to give them back to God. And so what those people in the Old Testament understood, they understood that all of the land that is this big, it's all God's, 100% of it. It's not mine. Even though I'm working the field and I'm doing my hard work, it's not my field. It's God's field. So if God says, leave the remaining 5 yards on the edges, yeah, it's his anyway. Now, could you imagine living a life that kind of just think about a life that looks like, yeah, that's fine. You can have that. Or, yeah, that's okay if that went away. I don't need that. Oh, I don't need more. I don't have to constantly expand my volume. But in our culture, and I experienced this firsthand in working in the marketplace and building businesses, man, there's something went off in me of, man, we got to have more. Like, well, the question would be to me, like in business, we had a couple business partners. We started a business. Hey, what are you going to do next? Which presupposes that there is a next. Oh, I guess we'll build another business. And then you build the next one, and what do you do after that? What are you going to do next? Well, you build another one, right? You can imagine living life, take it away from business, but just living a life that always had a next. Never slowing down, never observing pace, never decluttering, but always maximizing. This does something to our soul. It does something to our soul, and we were meant to leave margin in our lives. If you're married, you know this. If there's no margin in your life for that person you're married to, because life is so busy, kids are so much, and job is so much. If you're single and you busy yourself always, your social life is so high, your school is so heavy, you're always trying to climb to the next thing, to build your career, build your career. Things, as much as we try to build it to make it healthy, somehow things get less healthy if we're not careful. And so the shepherd gives us what we need. Verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd. So before the writer, who is King David, before he gets into anything about green pastures or still waters or dark valleys, he begins with who God is. Who is God? What does a shepherd do? And if I could just put a few words out there for you. If God is our shepherd, and shepherds do this, then it must mean that God does that for me. Shepherds guide. Think about a shepherd with sheep. If you would take that shepherd away, do you think the sheep would find the path they need to go on? Sheep are dumb. That's what they're known for and as, dumb. And so, if you have a pet sheep, I'm sorry if that was offensive. But sheep need a guide. What David is presupposing here about himself is that he is not sufficient to figure this thing out on his own. The Lord is my shepherd. He didn't say I am a dumb sheep, but he is illustrating himself to be like a sheep. Shepherds protect. And David knows, though he is strong and powerful in his nation, he knows that he needs someone who is protecting him, who is fully aware of his circumstance, his front, back, left, right, overseeing everything he does. He knows he needs a protector. Shepherds heal. They're the physician in the flock. If a sheep gets snagged or snared on something, who do they don't know it. They're so dumb, they don't know where to look. But who are they going to look for to heal them? A co-sheep? They need the shepherd. If a wolf is on the prowl, if a lion is coming around, do you think they have what it takes? No, they don't. They need someone with a strong arm, with an intellect, with discernment, with ability to make good decisions. David says that God is like that for us, and he provides. A shepherd always provides all of the needs. The reason David says by still waters is because sheep need to drink, but they don't know how to get there on their own. The reason David talks in a moment, we're going to get there, about green pastures. Sheep need to rest and eat, and they don't know how to get there on their own. The reason he talks about dark valleys is because sheep don't know how to get out of it by themselves. They need a shepherd. So here's the deeper truth. Something is always shepherding you. Something or someone is always shepherding you. Guiding your decisions, calming your fears, shaping your identity. Always. Something is going to calm your fears. When you get anxious, you go somewhere. When you're laying in bed at night, what is your routine or your practice to become less anxious? Or do you even have a routine or a practice to become less anxious? When, like a sheep, you become hurt, what is the means by which you are healed? And I don't mean physically, but soul, emotionally. You're always going to be shepherded by someone or something. And David, he declares that the Lord is his shepherd. Simplicity calls us to acknowledge we are going somewhere for comfort. And what we tend to do often, we look at material possessions, people, food, entertainment. We clutter our lives with stuff for our guidance, for our protection, for our shepherding. And when we get into an environment like this and we consider David's proclamation, the Lord is my shepherd. Who is your shepherd? Where do you turn when you need guidance, protection, and nourishment? And David says something radical. He says, the Lord is my shepherd. I have what I need. Simplicity begins with this heart that says, real simply, I have enough. I have enough. The Lord is my shepherd. I have what I need. Simplicity is not about owning less. So the end of this sermon is not going to end with like, go give all your money away, find the 5 yards around your life and go figure out how to give that away. That's not where it's going to go. Go declutter your closet. You need to have 5 shirts. That's it. No more 2 pair of shoes. Figure it out. That's not the goal. Though it could be about having less, for sure. It is about trusting God that what he has already provided is enough. And this is a good question. Is it enough for you, what you have right now? Do you find yourself always searching for more stuff? What is it that you've been wanting and needing and wishing you could have and just not satisfied? The Lord is my shepherd. I have what I need. We live in a culture of another round. We do. We live in a culture of what's next. What's your 5-year vision? What's your 10-year plan? How many units are you going to have? Now listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm not. And so if your bells went off and you're like, man, this guy doesn't understand, this guy is telling me not to have a plan to life, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is if that is your shepherd, then yeah, you should not have that. If when you don't achieve it and you don't get there, you become solemn, sad, lonely, disappointed, yeah, you shouldn't have that. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything that I need. Is God enough for you? If I told you that he were your front, your back, your above, your left, your right, and that he provided all of your needs, do you still need more? And then I would ask you, what else do you need beyond what you have with just him alone? Are your anxieties shaping you, your fears shaping you, your desires, your wants shaping you in such a way that you become out of sorts when you don't get them? When you can't achieve it, when you don't get there quickly enough, do you get out of sorts? Well, if so, that is like a sheep going right for water without the shepherd when the water is left. What the sheep needs is guidance from the shepherd to show where the water is. And when the sheep goes off into another pattern, another way, it becomes dangerous. And ultimately, death is waiting out there for that sheep. Now, we like sheep, the Bible says, we have all gone astray. Interestingly enough, the Bible tells us we've all gone that way, but God comes and rescues us to bring us back. Your movement toward things could be your movement away from God. And if your life is out of sorts and peace does not rule and reign in your life, and anxiety rules and reigns, there is a chance that you are seeking other waters out that are not there. Another purchase, another upgrade, another distraction, another experience, another relationship, another job, more money, more children, less children. All of these things, they're not our shepherd. And they don't put us back together. If you look in your closet, like if you were to, I don't know, not this morning, but yesterday morning, if you'd have hung out with me at 6 in the morning, I'm up and around the house. I had purple Nike socks on that my wife is embarrassed of, half calf high with black Crocs and New Orleans Pelican, little, y'all know what those are called? Gibbets on this side. And I got another one over here of Batman from the Lego movie. I got this oversized t-shirt from a Pelicans game because I love those Pelicans game. Give me all your oversized red t-shirts. And just looked a mess. No, not today. And if you look in my closet, man, what makes you happy? Where do you find your identity and how people see your attire or your car in the parking lot? Or maybe if you're like me, I love going to eat out places, your ability to know the city and the culture and say, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah. Representing hey, I'm in the know. What protects you and comforts you? And we're always looking. By nature, we're looking for things on the outside to give us that acceptance. And I'm just a dude with purple Nike socks and Crocs and sweatpants cut into shorts with oversized tees at my core. That's who I am. And I need God. And I can open my closet and I can get in my car and it's all irrelevant because when I go home, I lay in weakness on a pillow because I can't stand up straight for 24 hours without falling asleep. I am like a sheep. I need help. We all do. So simplicity begins when we wake up and we say things like, God, today, I have everything I need. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be great? Sit with that for a second. Wouldn't it be amazing to wake up every day with a smile? And maybe the first words that come out of your mouth, God, everything I need. I don't have a spouse, but I'm good. We don't have kids yet, but I'm okay. This is a tough marriage, but you've given me everything I need. I'm not happy with my seasonal attire. A new magazine just came in pointing me to need more stuff, but I'm okay. What would that contentment feel like? And David says it, I have all that I need. So are you discontent in your life right now? So he lets me lie down in green pastures and he leads me beside quiet waters. What a beautiful picture of rest. Green pastures and quiet water. Sheep lie down. They only lie down if they're going to feel safe. And God brings us to those places of safety. But if you're like me, you have a restless spirit. It's a hustle. It's a hustle, isn't it? I don't know why. I kind of do wake up with a smile. I also wake up with a fast heart rate. Like I'm just ready to go. Early this morning, one of my boys fell asleep on the couch. Didn't know he was in there. I'm in there hustling in the kitchen. I just wake up. All of a sudden I hear ba-boom, ba-boom. He's just kind of what? And I'll probably just waking him up because I'm just after it. There is always a go inside of me. And this is not healthy. It's not. I've seen this over time in my life. I complicate things. I don't rest. I have a good friend. I take a walk with him once a month from the quarter, usually to the Maroney, if we're feeling real energetic, into the Bywater. And what we do, we slowly walk from one or two cafes. And he walks half as fast as me. I mean that, half as fast. And we've been doing this for about a year, and we just crawl to the next spot. And it is so good for my soul. And he talks slower than me. And one time I was like, bro, what do you think was in that house before? It had this big plaque. I remember this. And I went to take out my phone. He goes, hey, man, let's just not know. It's right on. Put my phone back in. Let's just not know. And I never take my phone out when I'm with them. And, I remember one time being in a coffee shop. I can picture it. He's right here. He's buying that day. I'm right behind him, and it's packed. It's a small shop, and I see there are two seats right over there they opened up. and it's behind a person. He couldn't see it, but I snagged it because when I'm anywhere, I'm like, where am I going to sit? What is the shortest line? I got to go first. My heartbeat rises in grocery stores just seeing which line goes faster. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey, bro, I'm going to go grab that seat over there. And he's like, what? And there's a lot going on. I'm like, see those seats over there? He's like, bro, look, there's too much going on right now. Just slow down, man. We'll just find seats after. I was like, okay. Put my phone back in my pocket. Again, is the idea, right? This is good for my soul. Do you have anything like that in your life? Where you know what it's like to be like jostled a little bit, to just lie down, to just be restful, to be with your shepherd? Do you start your day in such a rush where it's up, go, and you don't even process that there is a shepherd caring for your soul? But instead, it's the phone, man. That thing's caring for our soul. It's the market. That thing is caring for our soul. It's the news in the other country with the war. That's caring for our soul. It's scrolling. That is caring for our soul. It's breakfast. It's protein shakes. It's gyms. That's caring for our soul. So what about the shepherd? Is your life so cluttered that you don't simply see that he is the one who gives you rest? He is the one who gives you peace. He is the one who protects you, who nurtures you, who guides you. This is difficult stuff. We are in a clamoring world of next, and it requires us to bow down. Next position, more money, if not, leave the company, bigger house. I mean, there's always something else. We know in life, though, like this is what happens. For me, I'm thinking about my life, and this is a good example. You get married, you get busy, you get a job, have a bunch of kids. For me, we have 5 kids. At this peak of awfulness in life, the job is crazy, parenting is crazy, you don't have time for each other, it's just go, go, go. And then now we're about to thin out. Our oldest is about to go start his own family. And our life is about to get quieter. And we have 1 and about to have 2 in college after that. And then it's going to get even more quiet because we don't have to check in on tardiness and quizzes and tests. And then they're all going to grow, and then guess where I end up with Ashley again? Simple. Decluttered. Not complex. This is the way of life. We end in a way of simplicity. I was with someone the other day, older than me by many years, and he was just telling me like, hey, just get ready because when you get older, people don't call as much anymore. They don't want to know your opinion anymore. You don't have a lot of asset to add. I kind of want to live like that right now. And if I were really under the shepherding voice, and I really believed that I didn't have so much to add, and it wasn't all hinging on me, and I wasn't the one who was such a big deal, then I think I'd probably come down. I'd probably simplify. Because I would trust that he could lead me by these pastures. Do you see any green pastures in your life that you are with the Lord, acknowledging his presence, or are you always on the go? And look, he says this, David says in verse 3, he renews my life. Notice the source. David does not renew himself. Notice that? What would the world tell you need for renewal, to be put back together? What's your source? What do you need to add in order to be healthy? What do you tell yourself you need to be healthy? David, he renews my life. His possessions did not renew him. His success did not renew him. God renews him. This is exactly why we're going through Lent. It's a journey to the cross, acknowledging that it is more about Christ and his crucifixion and his resurrection, and it is less about us. And if we could for 24 hours be really conscious of our great need for God and our incompetency of self, if we could do that for 24 hours, we would be better as people. And the goal is not to think about tomorrow or the next day or 6 months from now. Jesus says there's enough for you to focus on and think about for one day. The encouragement in Lent is this: today, simplicity. Today, confession and repentance. Today, prayer. Today, study, meditation. Today, submitting to God and serving other people. We don't live there. I don't live there. You know where I live? I live, when are we going to get out of this building into another building that's a permanent building? I miss everything that is right in front of me if I live 6 months from now, 18 months from now. What about today? And the shepherd, he's not out there. You know where the shepherd is? He's right here with the sheep now, with the water right there, with the pasture right there. And he sees the dark valley coming out there in the future. But it's okay, because when you get there, he'll be there. But we live out there. Do you? I feel like I'm just confessing all my weaknesses today, y'all. We live there. Today. Let's live right here. Go to God for your renewal. Go to God as your source. David declares, he is the only one who restores my soul. That's what he's telling us. And then he says, he leads me along the right paths for his name's sake. When we embrace God's provision, when we really embrace his shepherding, it changes our lives. He leads me along right paths. There is a path, and the shepherd knows it. And we tend to get way out there. But when we follow him, we go on the right path. Are you tired of the wrong path? What is your wrong path that you have been on, not trusting the leadership of the shepherd in your life? Contentment or simplicity produces clarity. Like simplicity produces clear seeing, which produces clear living. And he says, for his name's sake. And what we do when we live lives like that, sheep, you know what they do? If they're all safe, they're all gathered, they're together, they're sheared properly, they have the right food, they have the right water, and they can rest. You know what it says? Man, that shepherd knows what he's doing. That's what it says. We make sense of our lives, and it reflects the goodness and the glory of God. His namesake, he is famous because he is a good shepherd who leads us in these ways. And then finishing up, even when I go through the darkest valley, I fear no dangers. Dark valleys are not a hypothetical. They're not. Dark valleys are guaranteed. And David says it. You know what I love to tear down? False gospels that say, if you just have faith, if you just believe, if you honor God with your money, if you honor God with your marriage, he's going to take care of it all. It's going to be good. And you just need to resist the devil, and you are going to be 100% okay. That's not true. God, in those hardships, yes, he takes care of all of our needs, but he doesn't make sure we go through no hardship. False gospels that declare that the reason you're going through this is because you did something like that. That's not true all the time. Sometimes, yes. You speed, you get a ticket. Sometimes it's for your good to promote your dependence upon God. So don't kick against the shepherd who is leading you through the valley as if he doesn't love you. He is with you. He loves you. He is there for you. God is always with us in dark valleys, and he does not promise that there will be no dark valleys, but he does promise that he will be with us in the valley. And so the question is, who will shepherd you? Are you looking for money and comfort and distraction and control? Simplicity just trains our hearts to reach for the shepherd. It declutters our emotions, our soul, sometimes our closets, because these things have a hold on us. And we anchor ourselves in those ways. You are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The greatest gift that God gives us is himself. You are with me. You comfort me. The greatest gift that God gives you is not your stuff. It's not even your spouse. It's not your kids. It's him. He gives us himself. Is your deepest comfort God himself? Have you complicated your life in such a way where you are aiming and targeting at other exterior things to support you? Or are you being walked by your shepherd? And may we say, as we close, like David, this is the heart of simplicity and rest. And this is the heart of simplicity and rest. I have everything I need.